Ngani Dumelang and hello. Welcome to UJ Sports on UJTV. My name is Aliyah Tchogna-Njamen, always here to give you interviews that just athletes, premium and top athletes. Well, today we have a very interesting interview. The first ever UJ produced Springbok. We're talking about ladies. We're talking about the UJ captain. We're talking about the rugby captain. We're talking about an interesting number 8. Her name is Aliyah Tchogna-Njamen. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Lelo?
I'm great, thank you. You look quite scared, afraid. Are you nervous?
Not
What's
even.
going on?
I'm calm. I'm calm. I do remember we had an interview quite like this a while back, so I'm familiar with you, I guess, so I'm quite comfortable. But yeah, everything's good.
Well, this is really a testament. Just to those that do not know, we actually had an interview like this before. I think it was 2021 when I used to host all the interviews, such interviews, to just know more about our athletes. And yeah, fun fact, you actually brought me up to date about that.
Yeah.
Had I gone back to actually watch that interview, I would have been like, yeah, it's been a year. Yeah. And I remember first thing first, before we actually get into the interview, you had a dream. You had goals. You said you wanted to be a Springbok. Yeah. And don't cry. Don't cry. And 2 years later, we're here. It was a tough 2 years, a lot of hard work, and we're here. That dream became a reality. Yeah. The fact that you wanna cry, right?
Not even. I mean, I feel like I'm still in shock. It took a while for me to process everything as it was happening.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I'm grateful to have gotten the opportunity to even be here in the first place and having experienced what I experienced. I mean, like you said, it's been a long 2 years, and me and you have known each other for quite a while. So you more than anybody would understand my journey and where I've come and how far I've come, you know, with my rugby career, knowing how difficult it is, especially for women in this industry. So yeah, I think more than anything, it's just me coming to terms with everything that's happened and just realizing how much of an achievement I've actually made in this past couple of months. Yeah.
And for those who do not know, who is Aliyah Tchogna-Njamen? And the way they pronounce your surname as well.
Yeah, no, it's quite tricky. So, surname Tchogna-Njamen. So I am South African. I was born and raised here. My mom's from South Africa. My father's from Cameroon, hence why the surname is a bit tricky.
Sorry.
But yeah, man, I wasn't always the sports fanatic. Growing up, I actually didn't like sports that much. It's only when I got to high school where I actually decided to try something different. And I'm like, you know, let me just try sports and see how it works out for me. And I guess that's when my rugby journey started, was when I was in Queen's High in grade 8. And I started playing rugby for the first time. I immediately fell in love with the sport. Yeah, I mean, I can't even remember much after that, because after that it was just a lot of call-ups into provincial setups since I was in high school up until now. I mean, obviously in the senior women's Golden Lions team. And I think it's just been blessings upon blessings. And it's been a long, tough journey, but a blessed one.
Yeah, and we can talk about you being one of the most fortunate girls to start rugby from grade 8. How we can testify other girls start maybe from grade 10 when it's been introduced into their high school. But you were fortunate enough in grade 8. Where in grade 8 and how in grade 8 did you start playing rugby?
So with me, like I said, rugby is just something that I knew about, but I didn't think it existed for women, especially in this type of sport, you know, knowing that it's very male-dominated and it's very physical. So I think what drew me to the sports is that it was just very different from everything else, you know. Yeah. And I was very interested. And when I started, of course, I was very scared because I didn't know what to expect. I mean, somebody who has zero sports background, jumping into rugby immediately, it was a lot. But I quickly fell in love with the sport. I developed a lot of good relationships with friends and sisters along the way, you as well, knowing that we've come a long way from high school, playing rugby together.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's been a great journey. My dream and ambitions have always been the same. Nothing has changed. And I feel like over the years, I've built the blocks to get to where I am.
Yeah.
And now it's just a matter of me acknowledging what I've achieved and actually working towards greater things.
And a big congratulations to that. Yeah. The more you speak, the more you make me realize this is not actually just an interview. It's just us taking a look back at the process to become a Springbok. What it actually means, the hard work that you've put in. I'm speaking about being the first Springbok. Actually, not the first, but being a Springbok just in general in such a male-dominated sport. And for the fact that you keep on killing the stereotypes and the stigmas that come with it, that it's not possible. But for you, it's possible. And 2019, if I remember quite well, Golden Lions under 18, captain and vice captain.
Yeah.
That was you.
Yeah, it was. Well, yeah, it was. It was. Sure. I even forgot about that, hey, to be completely honest. But being a leader for my team at that time was quite tricky, simply because I've always been the shy type.
Yeah.
And it took a while for me to sort of come out of my shell and just like show who I could be out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man, I feel like I can't take credit for all of that on my own. I mean, I had an amazing bunch of rugby girls by my side helping me, you know, build something, you know, that was meaningful to us over and above just us playing a sport that we love and that we adore. You know, funny enough that you mentioned that year, because that year was actually quite a very difficult year for me. I don't know if you remember at some point, I had to leave the camp set up, the National Girls Week, because my mom fell sick.
Yeah.
And during that time, it was very devastating for me because obviously I had ambitions and goals to, you know, strive to make the under 18 set up. And I remember in 2018, I didn't make that set up, and it was quite difficult for me to come to terms with. But obviously the next year I had a different mindset and I just came back more determined, and that's when I actually got my first opportunity to even enter the SA setup, and it was a beautiful experience. The fact that I got to share it with my mom and her knowing how much it meant to me was everything that it could be and more.
And I want you, what did mom say when you were like, Mom, I want to play rugby?
She probably laughed at me at first because I don't think she even knew that the sport existed, but she supported me nonetheless. She came to watch my games whenever we were playing local or at home, and she's been there for me every step of the way. She's never discouraged me, no matter if injuries came along.
Yeah.
She's always just stood by my side, knowing very well that she doesn't even understand the sport, but, you know, she's been a real pillar of strength in my life. She's probably the reason why I push myself this hard and work this much, you know, to achieve everything that I want to, because I know that, you know, if she was in my shoes, she would probably do the same. You know, she's a very resilient and hardworking person. And I just like to see a reflection of myself through her and what she does for me in my life. So, yeah.
All right, just to break the ice a bit and just for those that are watching to get to know you a bit more, I'm just going to ask maybe about 5 to 10 questions. We want to get to know Aliyah. So the first one would be your favorite color.
Ooh, my favorite color is blue. My friends know this. I'm obsessed with blue.
Why blue?
I feel like because it's a very calm color. I mean, I'm drawn to water.
Yeah.
Because it's very calming and cooling. So I'm an ocean baby. I love being by the beach side. I love being around water. So I would say blue's definitely my favorite color.
Not green, blue.
I see what you did there. No, blue. I have to go for blue.
All right, favorite food?
That's tricky.
Besides that, you're a good cook, but favorite food?
That's a tricky one. I think I would go for a traditional meal, roti and minced curry. Yeah.
You ace those meals either way. Favorite drink?
Favorite drink? I'm a juice girl, so I'd probably go for your cranberries, your mixed berries. Yeah, I think pretty much simple. Yeah.
And if you had to go to one place, or if you had to make a wish to go somewhere, where would you go?
I think it would be New Zealand.
Why?
One of the reasons why I actually pursued going further with my career because I have certain people that I look up to, you know, and I know that in the New Zealand, in the country, New Zealand as a whole, there's a lot of rugby icons, amongst them being Portia Woodman, who actually was one of my inspirations when it came to me trying to build my career as a person. So I feel like just the culture itself is what draws me to the place. But I'm still a very much green and gold girl by heart. But I just think I have like profound respect for the culture that surrounds the sport itself and how serious they take it, you know. So I think that would definitely be my number one place to visit or perhaps go to one day.
And funny enough, that country that you want to go to came second in the World Cup.
Yeah, I know.
It's fine, but you're wearing the number one jersey. So
Yes.
it's okay.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
And if I were to ask you your number one fan, who would you say? I know this is touching home. This is touching home.
Oh, yeah. Number one fan. Number one fan.
Yeah.
Yo, for me, you're asking me tricky questions.
I'm sorry.
Of course, my mom's my number one fan, but I've also had a lot of other people that have been there for me. And I think anybody else that I can say has really been there for me is my partner, Sinoveo Bali. He's really given me incentive to just push to be better than what I am. It's been a lot of tough times, especially during Premier Division, where I just felt like I wasn't good enough, you know, and I wasn't giving my all. But clearly that was me just simply doubting myself beyond my own capabilities, because immediately after all those doubts came this opportunity, you know, and it was unbelievable. And he was actually one of the first people I shared the news with. And I believe that he was one of the people that actually helped me keep it together during the season and just motivated me to just be the best that I can, knowing that God will do the rest.
And speaking of such a solid support system, how important is it, especially through this entire journey where there's ups, there's downs, after training sessions, you might not feel your best. Sometimes you love yourself, sometimes you hate yourself. How important is it to have a support structure?
I mean, it's very important. Like in any sporting career, you need that support structure because there's a lot of psychological, mental, and emotional things to consider when it comes to playing sports. And I feel like mental health is also a very big thing, you know, when it comes to playing sports, because at the end of the day, if you don't feel okay, if you're not in the right headspace, then you can't perform as the athlete that you want to be, you know? Yeah. So I feel like a support system is very important. You need people that are going to root for you. You need people that are going to just support you through the journey. Not saying that that's all you need and basically you need to rely on them, but I feel like having a support system isn't bad, you know? It's something that everybody could use, especially when you are a student athlete, especially, you know, because you're juggling school and other things in your life, including your sports career. So it can be quite tricky.
Tricky indeed. And I want to take me through this journey. Take us through the journey. You got the call, come to the camp, the Springbok Women's Camp. We're preparing for a tournament. Take us through the entire process to your last days, or maybe the last actually tournament, when you actually watched the tournament on TV. Take us through the process, how you felt, what happened, and yeah.
So I remember it like it was yesterday. Our last game was actually against the Bulls Daisies at Alberton Rugby Club. That's where we played our last game, our last league final. Yeah. But after that, everything was kind of...
This is under Golden Lions.
This is under Golden Lions, so the women's senior team. Everything just kind of moved really fast from there. I wasn't expecting the call also because during the season, there were actually pre-camps that they had where they actually called certain girls up. So I think a part of me had already made peace with the fact that I hadn't made any impressions on any of the coaches in the national setup. And I just thought to myself that, you know what, next year is another year and I'll just go again. But surprisingly, it was one day I was actually going to write one of my papers at APB, and I got a call from my Golden Lions head coach, congratulating me on just like a successful season and just telling me how proud he was to announce that I had been called up to the national setup for the WXV preparatory camp. And I believe in that moment, I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. I mean, I was ecstatic. I was emotional, and knowing very full well I had an exam to write. So I had to kind of like wrap up my emotions in that, you know, sort of moment and just like wait to celebrate properly after. But everything moved pretty fast after that. I think 2 days later, if I'm not mistaken, I had to fly down to Cape Town to SAS, the Stellenbosch Athletes Institution. And I was there for 2 weeks where I got introduced to the national team players, the Springbok women. I got introduced to the setup, the high performance setup, facilities, and just everything that they are about.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, the journey has been tough. It's been tough, but I enjoyed being there, you know, doing what I love, and I feel like I'm just glad I got to experience something that big at the age that I'm at, because it gives me a lot of depth as a player, you know, being still like very young, and knowing that I have a very long way ahead of my career just gave me a bit of insight on what I need to do to sort of grow myself as a player and just, you know, put myself out there, you know, outside of my comfort zone. Like I said, the national setup is a lot tougher than people think it is.
Tell them.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough. My coach always said, Coach Louis, the Springbok coach, he said, if it was easy, then everybody would be a Springbok.
Sorry.
So it's tough, but I enjoyed every moment of being there.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, to think about, and also to process. But 2018 or 2019, Springboks are playing in. They were playing qualifiers, World Cup qualifiers. You were watching, or you played prior against Blue Bulls, under 18. The following day, I got an invite to go train with the Springboks, just as a clinic. You took a picture with Baba Lalacha, right there. Today, as we speak, you were in the same gym as Baba Lalacha. Prior to that, Baba Lalacha didn't play club.
No.
The same person you took a picture with, you were standing right next to.
Yeah.
She was the one saying the calls. This is what we do. This is what you do. How does that feel?
Like I said, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't. I mean, I think that day that we actually watched the Africa Championship, where they played Madagascar and other countries alike, I feel like it was the first day that we actually truly were able to see the capabilities of women in the sport. I mean, I'd never in my life seen a live game like that. And I was just so inspired. And knowing that these are the same people that I looked up to is actually it's very special, because I can't believe that time has like gone by this fast. I mean, just the other day, like you said, we were at a rugby clinic and she was there, you know, teaching us what she knows and just relating her rugby knowledge onto us.
Yeah.
And now here I am, about 3 years, 4 years down the line. I can basically say that
you have the right to say
I've been in the same room with her. I've had conversations with her. We've laughed together. Yeah, man, we've shared team cultures together.
Yeah.
It's just a very special thing to acknowledge. And yeah, I would never trade any of this for anything in the world.
And speaking of the most, not depressing to say, but academics.
Yeah.
How do you balance? I know it's tough being in Cape Town, traveling a lot, and at the same time, you graduated within a diploma in sports management, and now you're doing an advanced diploma in business management. How do you balance? Do you find time? Is the pressure too much? Are you trying by all means to manage your time properly? Do you get help from outside? What keeps you intact?
I mean, it's been difficult. I'll never lie and say it's easy. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel any student athlete can relate to what I'm saying. It's very hard to juggle both simply because, you know, sports is very demanding, especially at this level. You know, when you're in varsity, it's already at a high performance level. That's when you get your opportunity to play provincials and nationals. So I feel like you just need to try and find the balance between everything. And it helps when you have other people around you that can relate to what you're experiencing and can be there to help you when needs be. I mean, I've had a couple of friends that actually helped me when I was at my SA camp set up for the 2 months, and they were there just keeping me in the loop with whatever I needed to know regarding school. And they were just there for me in general. And I definitely don't take them for granted. They know this. So yeah, it's very difficult to keep up with everything, but you sort of have to find a way, you know, because at the end of the day, apart from just sports, you have other, you know, goals in terms of graduating and, you know, gaining certain accolades. So I feel like it's just as important, you know, to focus on your school as it is on your career, because at the end of the day, none of this would have been possible if I didn't come and study at UJ. So I think I also have UJ to thank, and the coaches, you know, Coach Jomo, Coach Bongi, that have been a part of my journey even before I started studying here at UJ. I think it's just very important to acknowledge their position and what they've done for me as a player over and above my achievements outside of UJ.
Thank you, coaches. Look, now we have a Springbok. My last game. Hit or miss? What was your highlight of your entire rugby journey? And miss, what did you want to achieve? As much as you've spoken about not making it into the setup in 2019 as captain of the Golden Lions under 18. But is there something deeper than that that actually was a miss, or something that didn't, you know, it didn't feel great to be in that state?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a hit in my career was me just getting my debut.
Yeah.
That was a big moment for me. It was a very special moment. It was a game against the Barbarians during the WXV prep. And yeah, I think that just kind of showed me what it takes to be in the position that I was at, playing against an international team, you know, at a higher standard of rugby. Everything was just intense, you know, so it was definitely something that I had to adjust to, but it's something that I definitely don't take for granted. I mean, being able to wear that green and gold jersey, being able to step onto the field with people that I not only looked up to, but, you know, people that I aspire to be, you know, it's very special. So it's definitely a hit in my career. And a miss in my career would probably, I'm trying to think. I feel like they can't be a miss though, because I feel like no matter how disappointed I was when I got bad news, everything sort of played a role in getting me to where I am and preparing me for the worst or for the best in this sense. But yeah, I don't think I have any misses.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And for the fact that you have a Springbok jersey that you didn't struggle to find for the final.
Yeah.
So, but now let's have a look at the Springboks win the World Cup. Watching backline forwards, give yourself the same feeling as if you played that first game against Barbarians. What could you say you saw yourself, or who did you see yourself through?
Ooh.
I'm sorry, I had to.
That's actually funny because I don't even, like, the player that I personally look up to has no relation to the position I even play.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think one player that stood out against most of the teams in the World Cup in the forwards position is actually Eben. So I feel like I resemble him in the sense that I'm a very aggressive player. I'm a very soft person off the field, but on the field, like, I do what needs to be done in that moment. So I feel like I resemble him a lot, you know, because he's obviously got a very great work rates over and above him being a physical player. And I think maybe him and Sia probably resemble me and what I am as a player when I'm on the field. You know, my work rate is really good. And I aspire to be aggressive. Every moment I get onto the field, it's just me wanting to be aggressive and just to put my team on the forefront of every game as best as I can.
Yeah, we want to go on and on about this interview because, girl, a big congratulations. A lot of girls out there, young ones. You also a coach. Kids don't stop thanking you for a lot. They don't stop. Also, just because you're a coach doesn't mean you don't have the ability to coach other girls as well. I just want you to look into camera right now. No pressure. Tell the little Aliyah from grade 8 something she didn't know about herself that she should have known.
That she should have known.
That she should have known.
Where you come from doesn't matter. What matters is who you choose to be throughout your journey. A lot of challenges may have come up front, and it was all about how you handled them to the best of your abilities. Your journey was never perfect and you were never perfect, but who you choose to be in the moments when you're on that field and when you wear any jersey is the person that you want to be in that moment. So never take for granted anything that you've achieved. Always be who you are, authentic in yourself, and just remember that at the end of the day, it's all to make you and yourself proud.
And speaking of making us proud, Varsity Cup 15, first ever debut against the University of Pretoria. You were shaken, you were nervous because you wanted this so badly. You wanted to go to the final, which you did, for sure, but it didn't go as planned.
Yeah, I think it was gut-wrenching, you know, to be in the final and not expecting the result that you wanted. But I feel like what made the experience great for me, over and above the fact that we didn't, you know, win the trophy, is the fact that I got to do it with people that I love. You know, my girls, most of my girls that I play rugby with now are people that I've been through the journey with from like a very
2017.
yeah, from quite far back. So I feel like even though we were not able to achieve what we hoped to achieve in that moment, I was able to experience the first ever inaugural Varsity Cup 15s for women with the people that I love and respect the most in the game. So I feel like regardless of the fact that it was a loss on our side, it was something to take back from, you know. I mean, there's always room for improvement as a player. It doesn't matter how great you can be. I mean, there's always lessons to be learned. And I think we definitely learned valuable lessons in that game. And I'm just glad that we got to do it together.
And before we close it off, a lot of people don't know that you're a dancer as well.
Yeah, I know.
You're a good cook. I'm not sure about singing. Are you a singer?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
You're a great cook. You're a great dancer. You're a great athlete. What else do they not know?
I'm an artist.
Ah!
Yeah. So I think even before I started playing sports, I've always been a creative. I did visual arts in high school. I enjoyed drawing, sketching, painting, whatever it has to do with crafts. And I've just always been that creative, you know, and it reflected through my dance career as well. I think, my dance career just kind of, was a reflection of my creativity as a person. So I think if there's one thing that people don't know is that I'm just an artist.
Thank you very much for joining me. I wish this interview can go further and further, but we'll be here until next year.
No, thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And thank you for being that light bulb that even when it's load shedding, still shining.
Yeah, no shame. It's been great. Thank you for having me, Lelo.
And to our viewers, thank you very much for sitting down and grasping as much as you can grasp through our interview. We are Sports on UJTV. Please make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms. We are UJTV on Instagram, Facebook, also Twitter. And as well as we are UJ_sports on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Libitso la ka ke Mpumelelo Dlamini, and thank you for joining us. Until next time, goodbye.
The University of Johannesburg, a future reimagined.